because this is not from Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport. But Ricky Scoops is back.
Oh, baby.
Oh, boy.
He has gotten the account reactivated. Again, this is this unknown tweeter who the league is trying to track down. Got his account shut down over the weekend. He did have Micah Parsons to Green Bay first. Well, the account is back up. And 6 minutes ago, Ricky Scoops tweeted, have you looked?
No.
Sounds like Trey Hendrickson will be joining the Cowboys.
Whoa, baby.
All right, so not Rappaport, not Schefter. It's Ricky. He has had misses.
He has.
No doubt about it, but he has had hits. And this is awesome to just have fun with. 877-881-1053, the Franklin Franco injury attorney text line. I can't believe in my career, 15 years in on the home of the Cowboys, I'm getting excited and worked up over a breaking tweet from someone named Ricky Scoops.
Can I tell you what the prevailing theory is about Ricky Scoops in the league?
Please.
So there's a couple different things. First off, everybody goes, this is not anybody who works with a team in all likelihood, because they know too much about too many things that are out there. One of the popular theories for a long time was this is somebody who just works in the league office and has maybe caught wind of some things or whatever else. That one seems to be off still, though, because whatever chatter the league office would hear about coming moves is not necessarily going to filter down to wherever they think this smaller individual would be. So the popular theory out there, and nobody's identified who, the popular theory out there is people think it very well could be an agency that uses it, and that an agency that uses it for public leverage or whatever else, like let's start some buzz about this guy, or let's we know that this, because agents, they all hear what's going on, so a lot of agencies go, okay, we can pivot this move over here, let's get this out over here about this and this. Now there's no consistency with this account, because there's no, like, all the different things that it reports on, it's always it's not like, it's all from one agency, it's different ones. But the thought is that, run into some information, you hear it, let's create a brand here that then builds up, and we can start using it to pepper in some of our own stuff and get leverage in the media when we need it.
We follow each other on social media.
Well,
I would guess that he says no, but if he was willing to come on, do you think you could kind of get some tips and some info to make him give himself up?
Yeah. That's probably why.
Should I set up like a pre-record?
And then have him talk through the deep throat modifier or whatever. Sure.
I wonder if he'd take the bait and come on for a radio interview. I mean, he clearly wants attention, or she.
Yeah, I would doubt that they would say yes.
I agree.
Because I think this is, like I said, if this is tied to...
But this is an interview I'd be interested in getting. Like, I
think everybody would be interested in it. I think you'd get... I'm sure all the different outlets would want to talk to him.
Now, is this tied into his next tweet? Because after we went from Crosby to Baltimore, maybe not Hendrickson, what about Jalen Phillips? Jordan Schultz, 13 hours ago, said the Eagles remain very interested in bringing back Jalen Phillips. And Ricky, 4 minutes ago, said, can confirm this is done and JP will be back. So if the Cowboys were looking at Jalen Phillips...
they had to pivot. And
again, if this is true and Phillips gets taken off the board because he's re-signing in Philadelphia, then you go to Hendrickson. I'm going to send Ricky a DM right now.
A couple of thoughts on who Ricky Scoops is on the fan text. They think it's Bobby Belt.
Oh, yeah.
And then the others are saying it's Roger Goodell's burner account. I like that one.
Okay.
That's a good one. That would actually, could you imagine if a commissioner of a sports league, and I'm sure one of them does, has a burner account?
So here are just a few of the ones off the top of my head that I remember, because I think some of them get deleted occasionally. But he said last year the Cowboys were going to cut Trayvon Diggs in the spring. That didn't happen. He said at the start of the NFL offseason, he kept talking about Jim Leonard going to New York. And that didn't happen.
He went to Buffalo. Right?
And so, it was like to the Giants that they were talking about. He was talking about him going to the Giants. that didn't happen. So, I mean, he's missed on some things. Again, if it was being used by whatever outlet or whoever was trying to use it and manipulate it, there might be value depending on who you are and occasionally intentionally missing some things. If you're trying to cover your tracks, if you're somebody who works in the NFL league office and you have this or whatever, then you might want to miss a few things like, oh, okay, I'm not going to be caught doing this. So it's clearly someone who gets some insight. It's just the question now is like, how reliable is this specific piece of it? Because he's missed before.
All right, so let's talk about, I just sent the DM. I said, let's do an interview. Let's make it happen. 877-881-1053. Ricky Scoop saying, sounds like Trey Hendrickson will be joining the Cowboys. So let's just talk about that as if it's happening. Mm-hmm. If Schefter or Rappaport came out with this as breaking news, my first reaction is excitement. This was my idea from the jump compared to giving up the picks for Max. Give me 2 first-rounders and go get Trey Hendrickson. Although the age thing, the age reminder that Bobby just told us in the in the last segment kind of hurt a little bit, turning 32 during the course of the season. What money amount would make you pump your fist versus the money amount that would make you cringe, as 30 has kind of been the figure attached to Trey?
Yeah, nothing would make me... I don't think there's an amount that reasonably could happen that would make me like pump my fist.
20?
Like that's the thing. I don't think 20 is reasonable. I don't think there's any chance that's what he gets.
Okay.
So to me, I think he's likely to fall in a range that depending on how much activity there is, between as maybe the floor being 26, 27, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the ceiling being up to like 33.
Let me give you...
my guess is
even after the Hunter
what
deal?
Do you mean? Yeah.
So you think this is multi-year then?
The Neil Hunter.
Yeah. I think ultimately my guess has been Hendrickson signs for 3 for 96 somewhere.
Let me give you the average per year. Tell me where we should stop. Mike is a 46, Hutchinson 45, TJ 41, Hunter just got 40, Miles 40, Nick Bosa 34, Nick Bonito 26.5. We go from 34 all the way down to 26.5.
That's what made it difficult to really work on his deal.
On whose?
On Hendrickson, like for Cincinnati and others, is because of just the gap that where it's like, well, you're not those guys, but you're not these guys either.
And then Montez Sweat 24.5.
Yeah.
Karlaftis, Leonard Williams, I think we're wasting airtime going below that. Is the floor Sweat or Bonito? Like Bonito's, I mean, we'd all rather have Bonito right now. Was he? Bonito was 26.5.
Yeah, that's the very floor.
Very floor.
Yep. So, and what did you say was the drop off? Who was behind that? Bosa?
Then it goes to Bosa at 34.
Yeah. So, like, I thought, like, just without even looking at that, it felt like 26, 27 to 33. And that's exactly fitting in between Bosa and Bonito. That's where I would think Trey Hendrickson
That's a
would go.
big gap.
It is.
It's a $7.5 million gap to work with.
Ultimately, I think they would say you would go closer to Bosa. And so I think he probably ends up 30 to 32 is what I would guess.
All right, someone says you took the bait. Don't get me excited. I believe this is fraud. And if look, y'all can believe whatever you want.
Whether or not it's fraud, they're going to check on him. They're going to reach out about him. So whether he's expected to land there or not, that's not the point. They're going to talk to him. They're going to find out numbers.
Who are the other names, Bobby, after Crosby and Hendrickson?
So Hendrickson is obviously the big one that everybody knows at this point. The other name that we've heard a little bit about, Jonathan Grenard, and not necessarily tied to Dallas, but just he's out there, he's a name, he's available. That's trade market that they could potentially explore depending on how much Minnesota wants for him. Marcus Dixon was his defensive line coach in Minnesota the last couple of years, but people always look for pairings in free agency. Well, you played for that coach, so you're going to go there.
And there's a website created for that now.
Yeah, NFL.com. Yeah. Their NFL.com NFL IQ page, they'll sort things that way, that based on who has played for coaches on this staff before. So,
man,
the biggest
idea is just a simple idea like that. You can just make some money off of it, and then it just goes right over our heads.
The biggest risk there, or the thing that I always like to say about coaching connections, that either makes that team one of the likeliest to go after them, or it makes them one of the least likely to go after them, because that coach will know. So that coach may despise that player and be like, hell no, I was trying to get him off the team the last year. I don't want him around. Like, there's a reason he's leaving Minnesota. I'm out. And so, or maybe somebody that you really like. Like, that's the whole thing with the Nakobe Dean connection that people have talked about. Well, that could mean Christian Parker either definitely wants him here or would definitely not want him here, depending on how he felt about him. But Grenard is a big one. The free agent names that I think are important to watch, some of the ones that are going to be connected. And after Hendrickson, it's going to be a drop to the next group of pass rushers. But I think Arnold Ebiketie in Atlanta, who they kicked around at the trade deadline, could make some sense for them. A guy they really liked coming out of the draft a few years ago who had a bit of a difficult career, kind of bounced back the last 2 years, and could play in a 3-4 kind of style as K'Lavon Chaisson, who had 7.5 sacks for the Patriots this year. He's going to be a free agent. Odafe Owe.
That's the name I see a lot.
Owe they liked coming out of Penn State. He had 0 sacks for Baltimore in the first half of the year last year. He gets traded to the Chargers, and he finishes with like 7.5 in the second half. And so that's a really freakish kind of athlete who is a steady pass rusher. I think the name that maybe is the one most worth watching, though, that's on the free agent list that I think, okay, I can see this one connecting a little bit is Boye Mafe, who has been with the Seahawks the last couple of years.
So Mafe and Owe.
Mm-hmm. Those are honestly the two that I might circle around. I know people talked about Jalen Phillips a little bit. He sounds like he's going back to Philly. Even if he wasn't, I don't know that they'd be in on him because there is such a big priority on some of the availability stuff with them right now that's one of the things that I think would give them pause on how much Hendrickson would want, depending on what number he gets up to, is because they want to make sure you're available.
Man, Owe had a 17.5% pressure rate. It's pretty decent. That's pretty decent.
Boye Mafe is a guy who, like, size-wise and pass rush ability and some of the various things he can do, I think he fits a lot. Now, you are going to have to pay for him. He's not going to be Hendrickson, but, I mean, Mafe may come in around Sweat. He may come in $24 million, something like that.
With those names, who are not, besides Hendrickson, let's be honest about it, those are not household names at all. Does that make you understand why the Cowboys offered 12 the second and maybe Osa? And you understand?
See, yeah.
Because it's like you do have to look at your free agent board and say, all right, if we don't get Max, we got an older, maybe injury-prone Hendrickson, and then a plummet of no names.
Well, see, that's where you get into the dangerous territory of free agency. Like,
yeah,
you're paying for names, but are you paying for the better player?
Mafe.
Well, these other guys are just, I mean, they're basically, to the usual NFL fan, no name.
Right. But sometimes
no name for a reason, too.
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes it's where they start. Like if Owe played,
like if those two guys one of the two got signed, Owe and
Boye Mafe.
Yeah, we would have to give a lot of education, kind of like we did on Christian Parker, to get fans hyped and excited over a week's time.
I think Mafe would be a signing everybody should get excited about. Now, obviously, they would need to be told why, but I think Mafe would be one that would be. Once you had an understanding, there was a time Trey Hendrickson was Boye Mafe or Odafe Owe. Like those guys, when he had a big last year in New Orleans, but he was definitely thought of as a massive risk going to Cincinnati, where people were like, you're going to pay for a 1-year flash of a guy who could not get on the field the first few years. Okay, good luck with that. And it ended up working out.
And, Mafe, like if you look at some of his numbers, his sack totals have gone from 9 to 6 to 2 over the last 3 years, but his pressure rate has stayed stable. So, the analytics would say that's just bad luck. That's the geeks, the nerds would say it's just bad luck. Whereas others were like, no, I want him to get home. And Trey Hendrickson historically has gotten home a lot.
Mafe is, like, we're talking about a guy there that's a good run defender. That's a solid, steady pass rusher. That's a guy who gets his hand up and throwing lanes. This is an edge rusher who the last few years, 6 passes defended, 3 passes defended, 5 passes defended. Like, he gets his hands up. He can do some different things if they need him to in terms of versatility and coverage. Like, he to me is a really solid, steady player.